Hey English 345 students, happy Easter. I hope you've had a great weekend. The weather has been absolutely spectacular, so it's been a great time to get outside and enjoy that sun. But we still have a few more projects and learning activities we need to complete, so we'll go ahead and go through those for this week, week 12. So taking a look at our course calendar, we're going to scroll down to week 12. Weeks 11 and 12, just to kind of recap what we did last week and what we're going into this week. So you started to work in Module 6, which was the Language Variation and Change module, working on assignments 6.1 through 6.3. And then this week we're going to be moving on to the rest of Module 6, 6.4 to 6.6, and also submitting the working draft of your research project. And believe it or not, if you look at this calendar, we've only got one more module left, and that's first and second language acquisition. That covers 2 weeks, and then we're into the final stretch of the semester. So the final exam, submitting your final research projects, and any extra credit projects that you might have chosen to do. All right, so let's head into Module 6. Okay, we'll move things down here, down to Module 6. All right, lots of fun things going on in this module. This is one of my favorite ones. I think one of the reasons why I enjoy this module on language variation and change so much is because it allows you to explore like lots and lots of different languages and to learn about how they came to be and where they're going and how they're changing. I think it's still my life's dream to be a polyglot and to know as many languages as I can possibly learn. I just think it's lots of fun, and it opens you up to so many other people and things that you can learn about, movies, books, traveling. There's just so many things you can learn from knowing different languages. So I've always loved that. And in this module, I think is where we really get to explore that a little bit. So you learned about how languages evolve in the TED Ed video. You learned the basics of historical linguistics and some of the language families under which all of these different languages fall. You also learned about an interesting language trend like the quotative like, and I think it's a trend that's still with us even today. And once you did assignment 6.3, you might have listened to yourself or paid really close attention to your own speech patterns and noticed that you use like a whole lot more than you thought you did. And I think it's definitely a trend that's here to stay for a while. Okay, some of you might have chosen to do the little extra credit assignment about your own American dialect and where it locates you. I've seen some of your answers already. Some of you are saying, yeah, it put me right in the right place, and others are saying, I saw kind of a mixture, or it put me in a part of the country I didn't think I fit into. So it could be that even though you grew up in one part of the United States, you might have been exposed to accents of a different part of the United States from your education, from other people that you've spent time with, maybe relatives who've lived in a different part of the country. There could be lots of factors, but I think it's kind of a fun quiz to take just because it really just makes you think about your own language, your own accent, and how that's kind of tied in with the questions that you answered in the quiz. It reveals different things about the way you use language. If you haven't done this extra credit quiz yet, it's perfectly fine. I'm going to leave it open until April 30th. That's right before final exams. So you're welcome to jump in there and try it out anytime and earn those extra credit points on the final exam. Okay, this week we're moving into 6.4 through 6.6. So in 6.4, you're going to learn a little bit about code switching. Code switching is basically, the linguistic definition would be switching between two languages in the same conversation. So somebody might use English and Spanish together in the same conversation, for example. And the speaker of those two languages does it easily. They don't do it because, they don't know one language as well as the the other. They're equally comfortable in both languages, and because maybe they speak one language natively and they've lived in another country for a long, long time. Let's say it's this native Spanish speaker who moves to the United States and they've been in the United States for 20 years or something. They're really comfortable with English too. In different situations, they might feel the need to switch languages, and it's really done unconsciously. You could also say that code switching is done in a more purposeful way in some cases. It may be because someone speaks one or more dialects of the same language, and in certain circumstances, they may feel more comfortable using one dialect versus another dialect. And you'll see at least one example of that, a couple of examples of that, actually in, I believe it is this article right here, How Code Switching Explains the World. You'll see some videos included there about Barack Obama, President Obama, and Beyonce. Okay, so this article has a few interesting examples. So one, like I said, is the one about Barack Obama at Ben's Chili Bowl when he was on the campaign trail. He did a little bit of code switching, and you'll have to kind of think through why he chose to do that, or maybe it was even unconscious. Why do you think he did that? There's another video that's in the article about a multilingual family where they speak Indonesian, French, and English all at home. So, why is that family doing that? Maybe children seem to have even more fluency with code switching. So why do you think this is happening? And then you'll have a choice for question number 4 between this article about K-pop. So it's code switching in K-pop. If you're a K-pop fan, you might really enjoy reading that one. And that's about why English is becoming more and more prevalent in K-pop music. The other example, or choice B, you get to choose between choice A and choice B, is this. It's a pretty short video. I think it's like 4 or 5 minutes, called Spanglish, and it's from the Life and Language Project at North Carolina State University. And the speaker here is Walt Wolfram. He is a professor of sociolinguistics at North Carolina State, and he talks a little bit. He gives kind of the linguistic perspective on it, but the video also has many examples from actual speakers, people who code switch all the time in their everyday lives. So you can learn a little bit more about code switching between Spanish and English. Okay, so this one's all about code switching. In 6.5, you'll learn a little bit more about the linguistic subfield of sociolinguistics and American dialects. The article that I'll have you read is actually by Walt Wolfram, so you'll see him right up here above you as you go to click on the article written by him. It's at the Linguistic Society of America website. I've had you read 1 or 2 other articles from that same website. It's a good website for giving you an overview, a general overview of different linguistic subfields. Okay, so once you've read that article, then you'll go ahead and take a quiz that is connected to that. And there is one open-ended question at the end of this quiz. Let's just go ahead and take a quick look at that question. Okay, so for that last question in that quiz, you get an option to give an open-ended answer to. So you're going to choose an American dialect to learn more about. One is the New York dialect. The second is African American Vernacular English, otherwise known as AAVE. And Walt Wolfram is a specialist in that area, actually. And option 3, accent reduction, which is an NPR, or I think it's a Public Radio International article about why people sometimes try to lose their accents. So you can choose one of those articles, and then you'll just name 5 ideas that stood out to you. And after that, you'll add a few sentences of commentary on how what you learned in the article might impact you as a professional later in your life. So if you're going to be a teacher, if you're going to be a writer, if you're going to do something else, how would this article change the way you perceive the linguistic world around you as you go forward in your own career? Okay. All right, so then the last assignment you're going to be looking at this week is 6.6, which is language endangerment. And this is an assignment where you're going to have a choice. You can do one or you can do the other. The first one is Endangered Languages Research, and for this, I'm going to send you to the Endangered Languages Project website. And basically, once you get on the site, you'll click on Explore Language Map, and it's going to take you to this kind of Google map, an interactive map, where you can choose any language that's there in any part of the world that interests you, and then you'll conduct some research on it. So it'll be like a 2 to 3 paragraph response. And I've given you questions, guidelines to follow here about which information I want you to find out about your chosen language. So this gives you kind of a sense of all the thousands of languages around the world that might be facing some endangerment in the future. Okay, the other option is to watch a documentary. Let's see if it's going to pop up here. It might just be because I'm recording the screen that it doesn't show up. There we go. Okay, so it's a documentary called Language Matters, featuring American poet and activist Bob Holman. The viewing time is close to 2 hours, like an hour and 49 minutes. So depending on your time and your schedule this week, the first of these options is probably going to be a little bit shorter. So if you're feeling pressured and you've got a lot going on, I know you have your draft due this week, you can definitely opt for the first one. But if you've got more time and you just like watching documentaries, number 2 might be a great option for you. And you can access it here. You can actually play it right from the Blackboard link right here. You can actually expand it too, so that way you can see it on a full screen. The other way to get to this video is to go to the Films on Demand database, which is in like the A to Z list of databases through Landers Library. Just search for Language Matters, and it's like the second one in the list that comes up. So you can definitely access it that way too. Okay, so if you choose to watch the documentary, then you'll give a similar kind of response, like 2 to 3 paragraphs, and you'll organize, it'll be a summary response kind of structure, and you'll organize it around the crisis, the consequences, and the response. And that's how the film is organized. So in other words, what is the problem they're talking about with endangered languages? What are the consequences of losing so many languages in such a short period of time? And what should we be doing about it, the response? And then you can mention at the end what you think is the best approach to addressing this problem. All right, under that, you're going to see it's for further exploration. If you feel like exploring this topic further, there's nothing to submit for this item here, but there are a couple of interesting websites. One is called the 50 Words Project. And if you choose to watch the documentary, the 50 Words Project is directly linked to the first group of languages they talk about in that movie, which is about Aboriginal Australian languages. And so this project aims to provide 50 words in every Indigenous language of Australia. So it might be kind of fun to go through there and take a look at that. Another really great website is the Wikitongues Project. That's a global volunteer movement expanding access to language revitalization. In other words, saving endangered languages. So you can find all kinds of interesting language samples on that website of, languages you never even imagined existed. So they're fun websites to take a look at if you've got some time to do that. And finally, you'll need to know where to submit the working draft of your research project, and that's at this Turnitin link at the bottom of Module 6 here. Okay, so don't forget with the working draft, the minimum requirement is that it needs to be at least 5 pages to get full points. You need to do your best on APA format and style. The annotated bibliographies, I've finished commenting on all those. I've given lots of detailed feedback to everybody. Your homework assignments, 6.1 through 6.3, you don't see grades for yet because I've been focusing all my time on the bibliography so far, because I want to make sure you have those comments first so that you can correct anything you need to correct for the draft. Like citations and document format and things like that. So make sure you take a look at those annotated bibliography comments. I hope they will be really helpful to you. The other thing, let me go back to the requirements of the working draft. A minimum of 5 pages, and actually let's go to the folder where I have everything. Oh, here we go. I just want to make sure we have all the requirements correct. Okay, all kinds of fun things in here. All right, research project. So let's go ahead and just review the requirements for the working draft. Okay, so a minimum of 5 pages, and cite at least 3 of the 5 scholarly sources required for the final draft. Okay, so your grade it's not going to be based on necessarily the quality of your ideas and organization yet, because this is a feedback tool. So as long as you've got your 5 pages and at least 3 of the 5 scholarly sources, you can have more sources if you want, that's fine. And you've made a good effort on APA format, correct punctuation and grammar, you should be able to get a high grade on this assignment, because the goal for me is that you get feedback on this to do a great final product for the final submitted paper at the end. So the main thing, it's just that it's completeness, APA format, grammar, and mechanics. Okay, I know APA format might be new for a lot of students, but this is definitely a good time to develop your skills in that area, especially if you're an education major, because you'll be seeing lots of APA. Okay, the last thing I was going to mention is for the annotated bibliography. Like I was just saying, APA is new for a lot of students, I imagine, and to give you a chance to revise and to take the comments I gave to you and work through them and make revisions and corrections, I'm going to give every student in the class the chance to revise that bibliography. And I'll give you some time beyond the working draft, probably a week beyond the working draft, to get that done. If you choose to do it, you're not required to revise it, but if you do want to revise it, you definitely will have the opportunity to do that. If you didn't submit a bibliography the first time around, the first due date when it was due, I will allow you to submit it, but with a 10% penalty. So that's fair to everyone who submitted it on time. Okay, so that's everything for Module 6, everything you need to know for your working draft, annotated bibliographies, homework assignments 6.1 through 6.3, and the ones coming after that. I will get grades in those as soon as I can, but like I said, bibliographies were taking up quite a lot of time this week. So I hope you have a great week. Let me know if you have any questions about your working drafts. I'll be glad to answer them, and I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.